And we are joined now by Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar. Thank you for joining us this morning. I think you're in Iowa. Thank you for...
Thanks, George.
And I want to begin with breaking news with you as well. It's not something you had direct involvement in as a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, the confirmation of Justice Kavanaugh. The New York Times has a new report out revealing a separate sexual allegation from his time at Yale that was not investigated by the FBI, and that the FBI failed to interview at least 25 people who may have had corroborating information on the allegations against Kavanaugh. Julian Castro put a tweet out on that overnight saying it's more clear than ever that Brett Kavanaugh lied under oath. He should be impeached, and Congress should review the failure of the Department of Justice to properly investigate the matter. Just a couple of minutes ago, the president weighed in as well, saying that the Democrats are telling lies about him. Kavanaugh should sue, and the Democrats are trying to influence his opinion. Do you believe this is grounds for impeachment? Should the Justice Department be reviewed?
My views on Justice Kavanaugh are very clear, George. I think most people remember my questioning of the justice when he went so far as to ask me if I blacked out and had to apologize to me. I strongly opposed him based on his views on executive power, which will continue to haunt our country, as well as how he behaved, including the allegations that we are hearing more about today. My concern here is that the process was a sham. I don't think you can look at impeachment hearings without getting the documents. The House would have to get the documents, and the Attorney General is shielding documents. If you recall, we were given this moment, just a few days, every other hour, to look at the documents related to other allegations that have been called in on the FBI tip line. I can't reveal what we saw, but I can tell you it was documents of this size, and you could only look at one copy while other senators were in there. And it was a mix, not triaged, nutty calls to a tip line mixed in with actual calls from people that seemed to have information. I think the whole thing was a sham, and that those documents need to be turned over, as well as the documents that the White House hid from his time in the White House counsel's office. All of that needs to come forward to even look at a proceeding like that. And to do any of this, George, you need a new president. You need a new attorney general that respects the law. And that is just not happening with this guy. So I go back to the fundamental case I made at the debate. I don't want to be the president for half America. I want to be the president for all of America. And to win and move this country forward on those things the mayor was just talking about, on climate change and some order in how we deal with the rest of the world, and doing something about health care and pharmaceutical prices. You need to fire up our base. Yes, they're fired up, but bring in moderate Republicans and independents, something I have shown time and time again I can do.
You've done it in the state of Minnesota, but there is a real tension there between the two sides of your message on Thursday night. On the one hand, you said that you want to be the candidate for those who feel stuck in the middle of the extremes in our politics. On the other hand, you said a House divided cannot stand and Democrats are united. But fundamentally, aren't Democrats, as we saw on that stage, divided on some of the biggest issues we face right now, from health care to guns?
We have different views on policy, but I still believe that what unites us is stronger. We don't want to throw out the Affordable Care Act and put people out who have pre-existing conditions so that they can't get insurance. That's what the president wants to do. We want to move on pharmaceuticals. But the point that I made here was that if you want to throw 149 million people off of their insurance, and that's the Sanders-Warren bill, if you want to throw them off in 4 years, well, then I'm not your candidate. Because I don't think you should be throwing people off their current insurance in 4 years. And if you want to have a $16 trillion plan in a $20 trillion economy, then I'm not your candidate. But if you want to move forward with someone with bold ideas that's going to do something about health care and believes that the work doesn't end on Election Day but begins on Inauguration Day, then sign up with me.
You heard Senator Warren's response on Thursday night, quote, "No one likes their insurance companies." Is that an adequate response to the concern you raised?
No. Of course, there's major issues with insurance companies, and I would push them, and I would have a nonprofit, non-insurance company option to bring the prices down. That's what Barack Obama wanted to do from the very beginning with a public option. And I've been pushing those pharmaceutical companies since the day I got in. As president, I'd be able to get it done, allow seniors to negotiate better prices for their drugs, and make sure we can bring in less expensive drugs from other countries. But the answer that they have, and it is on page 8 of the bill, as I pointed out at the debate, literally says that in 4 years, 149 million Americans would not be able to have their current insurance. I don't think that's what people want. I don't think it's a bold idea. I think it's a bad idea.
You also saw that big idea from Beto O'Rourke on Thursday night calling for a mandatory buyback. You said you'd prefer a voluntary buyback and we should focus on extending background checks right now. But how concerned are you that the ideas being pushed are actually going to push the Democratic Party over the course of this primary fight into a place where it's going to be much more difficult to win the general election?
We just had massive shootings and a loss of life that was unprecedented in Texas, in Ohio, at a festival in California. So I want to make clear, I want to see an assault weapon ban. I've supported that way back when I was prosecutor and took that with me based on the everyday gun violence I saw in Minnesota. I brought that to the Senate. So I think the smartest thing to do is, one, right now, push Mitch McConnell to allow for votes on universal background checks and my bill to not allow domestic abusers to get guns. Then, when I'm president, I will get that assault weapon ban passed, as well as a limit on magazines. If we had those in place, that Dayton shooter wouldn't have been able to kill all those people in 30 seconds. And I do prefer a voluntary buyback. I think that's a smarter way to do this. And I don't really look at the politics of this, George. I look at, after battling this for years and leading on this and sitting across from President Trump in the White House and watching while for 9 times he told me he wanted to see universal background checks and then meeting with the NRA the next day and folding. I'm tired of this. I will be a president that won't fold, and I want to get things done for the people of this country.
You're getting some good reviews for your performance on Thursday night, but you're still stuck near the bottom of the pack in the polls. How do you build on that? What's your breakout strategy?
Well, I think it started on that debate night because I had an opportunity with just 10 people up there for people to see my vision for the country and how I can win this and how we don't just need to win the presidency. We also have to win the Senate, and that means winning in states like Colorado and Arizona and Alabama, and how important that is to get things done. And that gave me that moment. We're here in Iowa today, opening offices in Council Bluffs and other places. And then from there, I'm doing a Blue Wall tour to show those states like Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin that we need to win this election. And so my argument is I'm from the middle of the country. I was one of only 3 women up on that stage. And also, I'm someone that has a history of getting things done and bringing people together, which is what we need in this country when this president wakes up every morning. And imagine the people of this country, the immigrant worker at the nursing home that's in tears because what he says about Hispanics, or the elderly person that can't afford their insulin anymore and is keeping those drops in an injector, or the farmer who has their soybeans mounting up in a bin and doesn't know if they can continue a farm that's been in their families for generations. That is what this election is about, and we can't forget that and let this president distract us.
Senator Klobuchar, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you, George. It was great to be on.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.